Hello, everybody. Welcome to Talking Horses, final Saturday of this meet at Belmont Park. And we're going to go out with some big fireworks, some tremendous card on this Saturday afternoon. Greg Wolf, Sarah El-Badwi, and we have two grade ones in that Turf Triple Series for the 3-year-old fillies, the boys in the Belmont Derby. Terrific sprint in that filly and mare division, as well as wide open race. Going to be a lot of fun today.
Today has so many competitive fields, full fields, great stakes action going on. Even the undercard races for those big stakes, really competitive races. So looking forward to going through it.
12 race card. We're going to have that promo for the show later. We go till 7 o'clock tonight. Then there's bonus coverage later tonight with harness racing from 8 to 11. Let's get through all the business first. We have a lot of it, and then we'll get into this 12 race card coming up. First of all, of course, the only way to play it. Get signed up, started with Naira Bets. That $200 deposit match sign-up bonus, the promo code BONUS200 to bet any track, anywhere, anytime, including all summer long at Saratoga. That card out for the opening day of the meet on Thursday next week, the 13th. Also this year, bet $75 each on Belmont, Horseshoe Indy, and Delaware Park, and you'll get $25 in your account whether you win or lose. Got to opt into all these promos, so don't forget to do that before you get started with today's wagering. Middle pick 4, I believe that's in the 6th race today is when that kicks off. And there's also a mandatory payout pick 5 beginning in the 5th with Suburban. Cross country pick 5 today with Horseshoe Indy. We got Paul LaDuca live on site out there too.
Paul's a traveling man.
Yes, he is. He's logging a lot of miles for us. We appreciate it. And then our show, again, 1 to 7 Eastern time, FS2. And then again, harness racing from the Meadowlands from 8 to 11, round 2. A lot of coverage coming up on this Saturday afternoon. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Are you ready?
Yeah, take a deep breath.
Getting there.
Here
Almost
we go.
ready?
Let's do it. All right, we kick off the card. 5.5 furlongs on the main track, maiden special weight to kick off this card. And I'll let you begin.
Well, experience is so important in these 2-year-old races, and that's kind of why I gravitated towards the number 6, Devil at Midnight, who does have that start under the belt. This is a horse that was really under the gun to go from the rail last time out behind that well-meant Todd Pletcher firster in Wine on Tap. I just think that this one getting to be a little bit further outside, having a little bit of racing experience, and also showing that good speed could be a serious contender, and they're looking to heat things up early on in the car because they have Maple Leaf Mel going later.
Yeah, indeed, putting that perfect record on line. So we're going to see this race, right? This is against Wine on Tap, who probably is going to be your favorite in the Schuylerville on opening day for Pletcher.
Right, exactly. Very well-meant firster for Todd, and that kind of pedigree for that horse you wouldn't think would be so precocious and able to get a sprint distance like this, but I mean, very gritty effort, game. There's just a lot to like about this horse, and frankly, other than the number 3 Exhilarate, who has quite the pedigree for Bill Mott, I just didn't see a ton to recommend with the other first-time starters, so much more so than this one. I just thought this was a really good debut.
It was, and yeah, Wine on Tap could wind up being very, very good for Pletcher. We'll find out. Again, we're going to see her in the Schuylerville. Likely favorite at worst. I would probably say second choice in that race on opening day. So yeah, she has the benefit of that debut. She's quick, probably going to get the lead in this race too. Having said that, I disagree. Talent supersedes experience, I think, in these 2-year-old races, and we'll see how talented Exhilarate is. But with this pedigree, could be very good in here. Obviously, first foal from a late and won $2.6 million. Everyone knows this in here. Won the Alabama, won the Belden. Actually won her debut as well, but she never raced shorter than a mile. Still, it looks like this one is quick. This horse has some bullet drills going 4 furlongs in here. She might be ready to roll first time out.
She might be. She is the hype of the day. I'm surprised that it's still so early, but she's not taking a ton of money yet. There's still plenty of time until we get to this race. I just wasn't really sure what the plan was with that turf work, likely in company with the number 2 Magic Cross, maybe just to see if this horse wanted to maybe go a little bit further, could handle the turf, is a war front, so perhaps thinking that there could be some versatility with this pedigree, but it's going to be very exciting to see what happens with this horse, win or lose, what we see from her going forwards.
Yeah, and in terms, going back to the one you went with in Hero, I have second. Obviously, Devil at Midnight's the major player in this race, but concerned with Sugar and Spice and that speed from the rail?
A little bit. I will say with Sugar and Spice, she hasn't really been able to sustain it so far. Maybe they find out if Devil at Midnight can rate a little bit and will be the outside speed this time rather than the inside speed. So those were the reasons why I kind of gravitated towards her, thinking that maybe she could sit just off of the 1.
Yeah, at third, too, I just mentioned, too, Dorothy's Dreams, first-time starter for Terra Nova. Another one I threw in the dam, produced Central Park, who was a 10-time winner. Produced Coppertown, who was graded stakes place. There was a short time where Coppertown was an elite
Really good.
sprinter and didn't kind of go on with it. But one I threw in there underneath. Anyone else you want to add in here?
No, I mean, I think that this is just kind of an appetizer to the 2-year-old races that we're going to get going forwards at Saratoga. So always exciting to look and see what we get from those babies.
And we got Jenna Antonucci. You picked fourth with the 4, La Picasita.
Yeah, I mean, how can you not root for Jenna, right?
Absolutely. One of the great stories in racing, not just this year, probably in the history of the sport, with her breakthrough win.
Yeah, and really one of those stories that kind of supersedes just the racing bubble as well, and just a cool story in general. But a Munnings baby, they paid an okay amount for this one as a yearling. The unraced dam has yet to produce a winner, but she does sneaky okay with her horses, and I think that maybe this one will get a little bit overlooked in the wagering.
Race 2, pick 4. We got 12, so we got to move. 1 turn mile, $12,000 claiming race in this spot. I went with Drink the Wind in here, and numbers-wise, it's just a massive standout in this group. I felt against this group. Has speed as well. Actually broke his maiden at Saratoga last year by 22 1/4 lengths. It was a maiden 20 race, but just dominant. I think this horse is going to be fine at a mile, and I think holds a huge edge against this group.
Does the voided claim 2 times in a row concern you a little bit, or not so much? No?
Not really.
No, not a concern?
I think Linda's going to have this one ready to go.
And I mean, likely to be in front going from the sprints to this route distance as well. Just as you mentioned already, a standout in terms of numbers. I know you look at thoroughgraphs, I look at Buyers a little bit more, but still kind of lays over this field.
Well, I mean, back to that, too. I guess you could look at that, but the voided claim 2 back and then comes back and runs the best race he's ever run. So,
true.
I don't know.
The voided claim out of there, though, too, and now drops a little bit, but again, there's not a lot to dislike and poke holes in with this horse.
Yeah.
I took one small shot against with the 3 Moliere. Ellis Park has been so speed favoring, as we've seen over the relocated Churchill Downs meet. And this is a horse that we can show the replay so far back in the early stages of this race and just made up a ton of ground. The race was controlled on the front end. Rally Squirrel ends up being your winner. And I just like that this horse overcame some track dynamics and able to show a little bit of a run where that's not really how horses are successfully running over at Ellis. So perhaps this one coming in for Steve Asmussen gets this track to be a little bit more to his liking, but would have to hit a career best or expect Drink the Wind to back up a little bit to beat that one.
It's just there's not much pace in this race. Drink the Wind looks like just steals this race on the front end. And Moliere, I picked 4th. This horse is going to be a mile back.
I'm hoping that he can be a little bit closer. I just was really impressed that he was able to overcome how that track has been playing, but still needs to do a little bit better. You have Caribbean second. This is a horse that's another Linda. Do you think that she's going to have this one sit just off Drink the Wind?
I think Drink to the Wind goes, yeah. And it's funny, you look at this race, it's probably the only other one that could try and pressure in the spot, right?
She's not going to have them go knock each other out.
No, no way. And I don't think this horse is quick enough if you wanted to anyway. And this horse is more kind of route speed, I thought, than anything. Drink the Wind, I think, is just inherently quicker. But I think a horse that figures in the mix in this race, I think it's all Drink the Wind, though, and it's going to be a short price.
Yeah, yes.
There's a few short prices. One who you are trying to beat, which we'll get to, that starts that mandatory pick 5, and that's Suburban. Let's move on to race 3. 7 furlongs on the turf in this maiden special weight coming up in the spot. I was so torn between a couple of horses in this race because I love the move with Classic Performer. I love the 2 sprints stretching out. I love stretching out a little bit further than 7 furlongs. What I like going around 2 turns. We see Luis Saez showing up today, which is always a good thing. A little preview, I guess, of what we're going to see in the Jocks room at Saratoga.
Tyler Gaffleone as well, so gets a little bit deeper waters for the jockey colony that already is one of the best, if not the best. So exciting to see him come up.
I went to risk free. I'll start here. 12 to 1, you get Rosario and a horse who's only had 1 opportunity on the grass. And this horse had a pretty brutal beginning in that race. I just love how the horse overcame that, got into contention, and put in a pretty big late run against that straight maiden group. And just, I love Jason Weyes, very talented apprentice, but this is a massive upgrade to Rosario.
Right, I would agree with that. And while you look at the 0 for 14, as you mentioned, only one start on the turf, so perhaps you can be a little bit more forgiving that this one has remained
for one,
a
yeah.
maiden for so long. I went in a slightly different direction. I like the 7 Party is Over off of the debut race. I just thought that this one was very professional, made up a lot of ground, and had a good late kick and education in that race. Had to split in between horses, rally inside of other horses. That's a race that Classic Performer was in as well. So I just thought that this one could take another step forward today.
Yeah, Doral as a horse, I think all the money this one's burned up. Favorite last 3 times. What was your take on Doral?
I really liked her to start her career with that massive pedigree, of course, being out of Dasita, who was extremely talented. I'm just overtaking her at a short price when she comes up a little bit short. And the horse that beat her last time, she was nowhere near contention to winning that race. So I'm just a little bit tired of her, aren't you?
Yeah, maybe shortening up to 7 is going to be exactly what she needs. I put her 3rd in this race. Yeah, definitely a couple others I like a lot better.
Yeah.
Race 4, getting on the dirt, 6 furlongs in this entry-level allowance spot. It's a tough call here with Bouncer. 4 to 5 in that 7/8 race last time out where Life Changer got by. I thought shortening up to 6 may be the key for this horse. He's run some very good races, but it's not like this horse is some kind of standout in here at 4 to 5. I didn't think.
Timeform US has this race as the 6 controlling the race and not a ton of speed, but don't you think that Fenwick from the rail, his only successful race was going to the front? I know that was a route race, but still. Letty won last time out, sitting just off of Print Track. I know that was lesser company, but still had to be close up. Return the Ring, coming off that layoff, he's not that slow. On the come up is the one projected to sit just off of him. Don't you think that somebody has to go and put a little bit of pressure on this horse?
I think 5's faster than the 6.
You do?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see it as Bouncer controlling this race from start to finish easily like Timeform US predicts. But sometimes when I disagree, I'm totally wrong. So,
I mean, I didn't see a massive pace edge in here for Bouncer either. But look, this horse has shown big ability, and I do think shortening up and maybe just getting a little bit tired last time out, that's going to be the big difference for this. Fenwick has been, to me, Fenwick is a horse that has had all this ability. This horse crushed Command Performance, who had gone on to be second in the Champagne against Jack Christopher. And it just has not panned out for this horse.
I think that was a very inside speed favoring day at Tampa, but still, you think that he wouldn't be kind of the disappointment that he has been since then off of that race, because that was a very strong performance. And where is it? That's the question.
Yeah. All right, so Handsome Cat for you.
He's just been competing at this level through the winter. Now comes off a little bit of a freshening. Irad takes the call. Something that Andy Sterling has mentioned is that the Jacobson horses that are very live, Irad tends to be the one that is riding in those situations. And I just feel as though he's been facing tougher fields than this at this level. I mean, horses like Joey Freshwater, Majority Partner would be so short in here. So I just like that he got a little bit of time. I think he's most comfortable in this group sitting slightly off the pace and still running his race. And I just thought that he would get a good stalking trip in this compact field.
I threw in Letty underneath, and typically you don't want to take a horse coming out of a $12,000 claiming race, jumping up to an A other than as a contender in this spot. That was, to me, for a 12-5 claimer, that might have been one of the toughest 12-5 claimers we've seen in a decade.
He ran well, too.
3-2 zone was a couple races away from where he was in major stakes races. Jalen Journey is a horse who got a 102 buyer a couple summers ago at Saratoga, who's not that far off from some of his better races, and he crushed that group. He got a number that is better than Bouncer thoroughgraph-wise. He's got to back it up against a different level type of horse. But I thought it figures in the mix. I don't know if he's good enough to win this race. That's a huge ask stepping up into this kind of group. But he's had ability against better type races before, and maybe just get some confidence back. We'll see. Obviously, that was for Maker last time out, and claiming off Mike Maker, going to a lower percentage barn that's not even won this year is a big ask.
He's going to be a big price, though. I mean, I don't know.
Sometimes you don't have to do a whole lot with this horse because you're just running off the last barn's work with him.
Exactly. And I think that while he was able to beat some of those horses that you think of as classier individuals, we haven't seen those kind of best performances from them in quite some time, but they still have it in them. And them on their best day, the fact that he was still able to get by them and run the race that he did and also didn't need the lead, there's some things to like there. I see where you're going.
All right, here we go. This is a mandatory pick 5 beginning in race 5. Grade 2 Suburban, mile and a quarter, compact field that signed up in this spot. And Charge It is going to be an overwhelming favorite in this spot. I went back and forth on this race so many times. I wanted to beat Charge It so desperately. In the end, I think he's just too classy against this group. The horses I was taking the hardest look at were Clapton for me, and then for Unbridled Bomber to try and beat him.
Do you think he could be 1-9?
No, I don't think it'd be 1.
No, not quite that short.
No.
Not like a Life is Good type of situation.
That would surprise me if he is that short, because he's still got to prove it at a mile and a quarter.
Right, and Charge It has just been such a general disappointment this year, because I think we were all expecting him to end up being the leading older horse of the division after we saw some key players end up retiring. And while he came off the bench with a win and we got all excited about him, endorsed as a good horse that he finished second to, but he should have won that race. And then really disappointing at Oaklawn. And then, okay, he runs okay, coming back in the Met Mile, but I thought he had a better trip than White Abarrio, and White Abarrio still got by him. So I don't know what to do with him as far as, does he really want to go a mile and a quarter?
Yeah, it's a question.
The pedigree would suggest yes, but they tried shortening him up. He should be in front today. This is not the toughest field he could be facing. He should win, but I just have so much trouble trusting him at what's going to be an extremely short price.
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, everyone's living off what he did in the Dwyer still to this point, off that reputation of what the promise of this horse could just be the next superstar in the sport, and you're going to show it here. This just potentially, look, he went to the bench for how long? 8 months off this, and he just lost a step. Whatever happened to him, yeah, he's just not the same horse coming back. He's still very, very good. I'm sure anyone in the country would love to have him, but he's not this horse.
Exactly. And you get in your head that this is the kind of talent and what he's capable of. And I think we're all just hoping to see this again. I'd love to see this again. I just don't think we're going to.
Yeah, I mean, he's had 4 opportunities now. He's not this horse anymore.
Right.
I would think. You never know, but I would think he's had plenty of chances to prove it he's not. But against this field, he still is overwhelmingly the one to beat. He's probably just too classy against this group. All right, so talk Red Run in here, who you went with.
I mean, it's not valuable for me to tell you that the 3-5 overwhelming favorite is who I think is the likeliest winner in this race. So I had to pick against with all the questions I have about taking him at such a short price. And I went to the horse that's actually cutting back a little bit in distance. He's had 2 races at a mile and a half now. I worry about how pace compromised he's going to be coming out of those races without a lot of speed going on in here, and him also drawing towards the inside. But he does have a snappy bullet work following those races, so maybe they tried to sharpen him up just a little bit, get him more involved early. And he was just kind of the only alternative I wanted to take a shot against, because I know he at least has the stamina and can run off Lasix.
If he doesn't, it's tough call. For me, Unbridled Bomber I thought was interesting just because he's the only horse in this field that's basically one of the distance. It was a mile and 3/16, but he has run his better races going a little bit longer. And Linda's horse, Tonal Impact, just ran the biggest race of his career, a number that's right there with the best that Charge It's ever run. I just don't think he could back it up doing it against this kind of competition.
I know. He's been facing good horses, but he hasn't been facing horses like this. He also has to get the mile and a quarter, and he has to do it off Lasix for the first time. And he also is the inside and not one that's going to be super forwardly placed either. So there's just a lot going against him in a field like this, but a performance with this kind of number, you have to think that he's at least in the mix.
To me, well, it's for some, it could be a negative too, running this big of a number and then coming back in, 3 weeks?
You think that it's not possible to replicate? Might
basically a one-figure horse.
Yeah.
That was a huge jump from this horse. But maybe he's just, I mean, everything Linda's sending out right now, she's making every single right move. All her horses are running, so it wouldn't shock anybody.
Right. Unbridled Bomber, don't you think he needs Lasix? Have you felt as though some of his bigger performances have been on Lasix? Because that was the problem that I had with him.
No, that's a fair point when you look at it, yeah.
And I'm not usually one to get too caught up in on or off and thinking that these horses are only capable of certain performances with it. but I've just seen that pattern with him that I want to see one without that's as big as some of the performances that we have seen with.
Yeah, it's tough to hold that last race again. That was a monster group, obviously,
Right.
in the Westchester, and he didn't run that bad. I think it was deceptively a little bit better race than what it looks like.
This is
But
an
we'll
interesting
see. But
field.
yeah, you look at
Clapton a little bit.
Yeah, he's going to be so far back, and to me, I originally picked him on top, trying to beat Charge It, but then I looked at the race when they met, and he was not getting by Charge It to me.
No.
And I don't know if the extra distance is necessarily going to help him.
Fun
Good race. Should we break and then come back?
It's your show. We can do whatever you want.
Let's break here, and then we'll come back and go 6 through 12.
For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.
You've not been to Saratoga before, right?
Oh, no, I have.
Or you have?
I have.
Have you had the water?
I have not.
Okay, so you have to make the trip to go to where you can get the water coming out of the well. Just load up as much as you can. Everyone says these lines are out of control. There's not. There's 4 or 5, maybe 6 people waiting. Get the water, load it up for the meat. It is the best water you will ever have.
Everyone's reactions to the water.
Oh, it's so good.
You're a fan of the water.
Well, no, this is flat water,
Oh,
still water.
oh, I thought you meant
There's
the-
one well that's
I
still
thought you meant
water.
that specific
But no,
well.
I like these.
You're a fan of both?
Nah, I love them both, even though some of them are a little harsh.
We'll have to
a
take a
little
trip
rough
to the
get
well.
down. But yeah, the still water is a must for sure. All right, let's get back to it. Race 6 furlongs on the turf. New York bred entry level allowance group. This starts this middle pick 4. And we agree on a horse who is 8-1 in here, Sikkim. Dylan Davis here for Jose Camejo.
This horse had such a trip last
Yeah.
time, and we can take a look at that race. And I wanted to show the start because this horse is just sandwiched, the 12 through 8 gates, all sandwiched together. You see the 9 check out of there, and then the 10 Sikkim check out of there as well. They're last and second last in a turf sprint. That is not where you want to be. Now, she does eventually get herself over to the rail, saves some ground, and then angles out, but has to still check off of horses to get that clear running room, as you'll see right here, to get to the outside, and finishes 4th. This horse had no business finishing 4th in this race and overcoming what happened at the beginning. And I don't love that then we went to Finger Lakes and ran 3rd on the dirt. Kind of a curious move, but this horse getting back to what she's done well, sprinting on turf against state breds and getting a rider upgrade. There's just a lot to like. That start was awful last time.
Yeah, it was bad. That was a horrible beginning, and basically the race was done from that point. Did get a hot pace to chase that day, so being backwards, I thought downgraded a little. But then, as you saw, that trouble the stretch, dude, did legitimately have to wait on horses and then angle outside. I like that performance a lot. And then even the performance before that, faced a horse named Fleetfooted, who actually won 3 of 4 on the grass. It's a major player in this spot, and it buried a little bit trip-wise, because there's a lot of ways to go in this race.
This is a really interesting race, and I think that's what makes this horse such an interesting pick, because there are horses to gravitate towards that'll be shorter prices that I think you might still get a fair price on this one. And as you mentioned, that race prior where she was second to Fleetfooted, she still had to steady in that race as well. So there's a lot of trouble lines for this one, and just a lot of competitive efforts overcoming those things going against her in these types of races. I think that if she gets a clean trip for once, she could win.
Yeah, I agree with you. And you're probably going to get every bit of 8-1, maybe even more in this spot. Although we'll see if anyone saw the trips as well. But again, there's just so many options in this race. It's one of the deepest fields on this entire card. What was your take on Weekend Rags for Jorge Abreu?
I mean, you have to appreciate the gameness of her performance. It was a pretty gritty effort, being on the inside, hounded the whole way, has the early speed. Of course, that's an advantage in these turf sprints, but do I think that she's necessarily a complete standout at 5-2 in a field with so much going on, enough to pick on top and want to bet to win? Not quite, but she can win. She's talented.
Yeah, I threw Royal Dancer in third. That we both have the 9-second, but I thought Royal Dancer adding blinkers can be forward in here and shortening up from 7 to 6 is going to be very good for her, and is put together, matched even kind of sneakily the two best figures of her career in her last two starts. So I thought primed to move forward, but going to be not great value with the Red Ortiz on board, obviously.
Right, and she has some back races even before the last couple that would make her a player in here. She also has speed. I think that she's going to be the speed of the speed, putting those blinkers on. She's already shown that she can be ahead of some of these other horses in here. So, yeah, she makes some sense. I just ended up going in a slightly different direction. Ranting was one that interested me coming off the layoff as a 2-year-old. She seemed like she could be okay and showed a lot of professionalism. Now gets Luis Saez, is the 3-year-old facing older. Off the layoff, Horacio De Paz actually has really good numbers in a small sample size. He's 4 for 16 off 180-plus day layoffs and turf sprints. So he's 25%, but he has a $3.43 ROI. So he does well with a move like this, and he's also 12 for 16 in the money. So they're ready to go when he brings them back.
Yeah. What do you think? What was your reasoning with Long Live the Queen on the outside?
I mean, this horse was actually the favorite in that race that we showed with Sikkim and just completely eliminated, really kind of took the worst of it at that start, stumbled. That was only her second race and her turf debut as well. So I just thought that this one is basically an unknown and now going to be a better price than she was last time.
Yeah. All right. That's
fun race.
I love that race. Yeah, that's a good one. Race 7, 6.5 furlongs, allowance optional claiming group in this spot. And 6 for you, huh? Dots Dollar, who was on a roll for a while, right? Really looking very good. Be Funny Joke, another next out winner behind her that day, and then took a huge leap forward in that Aqueduct race in the return this year. Yeah,
I mean, Rodney has obviously improved since Dots Dollar was able to beat him, turning the tables on him a couple starts ago. But to beat a horse like Rodney, who is really turning into a serious sprinter, has some pretty big numbers.
Yeah.
I just think that it's going to be interesting to see where Linda places both of her horses early in this race, but I like that he's going to be outside speed and can probably just sit off of Majority Partner if he goes or if anyone else goes. You just can't deny the form he's been in lately and the kind of company he's been keeping.
Yeah, her other horse, Majority Partner, ran one of the biggest figures of his life last time out. That was a huge effort, but Vittorio just cruised by him in that spot. So I thought it was actually kind of hard to make a case for Majority Partner. Is this race we're looking at?
Yes, yep. Where they both were defeated by Colonel Bowman, who's on a serious roll right now and got to slip right up the rail. Vittorio's one that I think that they just are trying to figure out what it is that he wants to do, because his best race was that second to Charge It, going a little bit further. Now they keep gradually cutting him back in distance. Now the blinkers go on. There's obviously some talent here.
This race was huge from him.
Yeah, I mean, he almost ended up getting the win over a horse that's on a serious roll right now. So he makes a lot of sense as your favorite.
I thought he was going to be too good in this spot. Yeah, I like him a lot today, but he's going to be a very short price in this spot. Who do you have on it? So it's 2 and 5 you have below, huh?
Yeah, I mean, Majority Partner he's put together so many consistently good races so far. And as you already mentioned, Linda's on such a roll right now. And then Milton the Monster is a price that's a little bit interesting. I like him cutting back. Yeah.
He's not the same as he used to be, but this is a horse that's been around for a long time we've had fun watching on the program.
Yeah, there's some good races in there somewhere. I think maybe he gets a little wake-up call with the cutback in distance.
Yeah, this is a tough allowance optional 62 race.
Yeah. Today's whole card, if you're playing these late pick 6, pick 5, mandatory payout pick 5, every race is seriously competitive.
But it's incredible, too, with how many races Linda has already won at this point. She's already wrapped this thing up, basically. She still has so many live chances today, and I would think tomorrow as well, thinking that maybe it's going to come down to it. She's got to try and lock up a few more W's, but just this fourth meet in a row she's going to lock up.
She's going to win going away, too. There's just so many spots where she's super live today and tomorrow.
Yeah. All right, Belmont Oaks Invitational. We got 2 Grade 1s on the program coming up. These are the big ones, part of this first leg of this Turf Triple Series. It started just a few years back. 1.25 mile inner turf for the fillies in this spot, and we actually agree in here with a 10-1 morning line filly for Horatio to pause and be your best.
Were you in love with her as a 2-year-old like I was?
No, but I love her last race. I'm in love with that last race, no question.
I was really interested in her when she was a 2-year-old, just displaying a lot of professionalism and really serious early talent. And then you could kind of make the excuse that maybe she didn't appreciate the yielding ground in that one stakes race. The Breeders' Cup is a whole other animal. You have to ship, seriously competitive company. And then coming back, I mean, just kind of disappointing. And then you wonder if a horse like this has really gone on from 2 to 3. But this restored all of my hope and interest in her as Prerequisite was able to set the pace. She has really good tactical speed, but Be Your Best gave her a serious run at the end, making up a lot of ground, beat a pretty good other Chad Brown horse in Revelita. And I think that she's going to appreciate a little bit more ground to work with as well as potentially some more speed in this race.
Yeah, I mean, Prerequisite, so loping along in the lead in that spot, and she almost ran her down. And you look at that first turn, she was floated way wide around that first turn. That completely compromised her trip. And then she makes this huge move 4 wide into the second turn. She had no business getting that close to Prerequisite. It was alone on the lead the whole race. I love her today. And Saez, so reliable. You can count on him to make the right moves. Prerequisite doesn't have some figures that kind of stand out in this race, does she?
No, but I mean, really had a trip first time out and then came back with a nice win, stepped up well. I just wonder if she's going to get the same kind of trip that she did in that Wonder again. I know that she doesn't need the lead. She's shown some tactical speed in the past and can be a little bit more versatile. She's clearly talented, but I just thought that I'd want the horse that almost ran her down, getting more distance and at the better price as well, with kind of that back 2-year-old form to go to, knowing what sort of talent you have, whereas Prerequisite, I think she still has to show what she's really made of.
No, I totally agree with you. I like Strikingly Spun here underneath, but definitely Be Your Best is my top play in here. But Strikingly Spun has put together back-to-back really good races. This is a next-level competition. This is her first kind of foray into graded stakes company, but she has put up a couple of numbers that are in the mix with everybody in this field, poised to move forward. She's paired up a couple of numbers thoroughgraph-wise last time out. So if she does move forward, she's going to be a handful in here for Joe Sharp. She's going to be a huge number in this race.
Yeah, no doubt that she'll be a gigantic price. I gave her a little bit of a look. The Euros in here aren't the kind of European horses that you think totally lay over this field. I think that we have some actual quality for once in our American turf horses, especially in these 3-year-old filly and mare, or 3-year-old filly and 3-year-old colt divisions. So I wasn't really leaning towards them, but do you think that these are horses that people just look at with their European form and think that, okay, they just are better than these?
I think the boys are a little bit stronger than our U.S.-based 3-year-old fillies. For now, we'll see if it changes, but to me, it feels like a little bit stronger group. Aspen Grove, to me, I think protectively I'm going to use. Could be pretty good. No one, I think, is some kind of standout in here. Grand Motion's Mission of Joy. I know she's won a lot of races, but figures-wise, no one really stands out in here. I definitely think the boys are a much stronger group. And so a race where even though I do like Be Your Best, I want a little bit of coverage here.
Absolutely. And didn't Mission of Joy just have a perfect trip last time too?
Yeah, but a filly that kind of can make her own trip too, right?
That's a fair point. I think that being able to save the ground that she did and then get clear running room and get a nice split after a horse that was setting some pretty serious fractions early and just getting the jump on Papilio, she's clearly very talented. I get why she's made the morning line favorite, but I just didn't see her overcome much in this start.
We'll see. Gaffleone for Motion in here. I had her third. Yeah, I'm not in love with her by any stretch in here, and she's going to take a lot of money in that race, and there's a lot of other ways to go. I think this 3-year-old filly group, to me, this is one of the more wide open races on the card.
I don't think there's anyone, if you told me they won, I'd be totally shocked.
Yeah. Was Sperling Bog intrigue you at all?
Not really.
No.
No.
Kind
I
of
like
just
I like
an
the other
unknown.
motion.
Okay. Ninth race, 7 furlongs on the grass, A Other Than, and Elusive Edge. Johnny V, Michelle Hemingway. Go ahead.
I have been chasing this horse a little bit, I will admit,
Mm-hmm.
but he is one that did all of the dirty work last time out, and he might not have the same level of pace pressure in this race that he did in theirs. We'll take a look at him, and Famous Ghent was in there as well. He was just pressured the whole way as the inside speed. That was also going a little bit shorter, so perhaps he can relax a little bit more on the front end, not have to set fractions that are that sharp, and maybe hold on in the later stages of this race. Sasua Summer and Bold Journey able to finish ahead of him. Sasua Summer is not playing today. Bold Journey's not entered in this race. I think that this could finally be the day for him. If he's anywhere near that 8-1, I'll be very happy.
Yeah, very good chance he's going to get things a little bit easier today, pace-wise. Now, I like a horse, too, who was in a similar race, Famous Ghent, in that Bold Journey, Sasua Summer, Elusive Edge race, and he was... he got a huge number in that performance. He was 3 wide early in that spot. He kicked on. I love the way that he showed some kick in the stretch. But again, another horse, like we talked about that horse, we both picked the same horse earlier. He got a kind of hot pace to run into. So you downgrade him a little bit from that perspective. But the fact that he was wide all the way around the racetrack and really showed some kick in the stretch, I thought, going back to some of his races too, 5 furlongs, he's won out on multiple occasions at Gulfstream, so a horse that sometimes you see this horse is overwhelmed at 5 furlongs on the grass. In fact, he can win those. This horse can be involved, and at that kind of distance on the turf, this horse is on a roll right now in terms of what he's done. Clement's going to take a lot of money with Inflation Nation, I thought, in this spot. Chad Brown's going to take a ton of money with Appraise.
Yep.
And I don't know that they deserve to take the kind of money that they're going to get. They're going to get overbet.
They're going to get bet on what you think they can do,
Yeah.
not what they've actually done already. Though I would say Inflation Nation has proved himself a little bit more than Appraise so far, and now drops from Stakes Company. But they both end up being a little bit more towards the outside. And Inflation Nation running second in this last race, this was some pretty wet turf going on. And I feel as though he ran a good race, but at the same time, they're taking a little bit of a class drop with him. And I just don't know what kind of performance we're going to get from him from this outside post and where he's going to be sitting early, because he's been one that's run well, but doesn't necessarily get the win.
Well, and both the two we're talking about, Inflation Nation and then Appraise as well, they're both 3-year-olds tackling older horses. And
Right.
there's some decent older horses who are multiple winners in this spot. I mean, both these two just have a maiden win to their credit. And I understand Inflation Nation coming out of some stakes, but stakes against 3-year-olds. We don't know how good these horses are yet.
Right. That's a good point.
Yeah. All right, race 10, Belmont Derby at the boys' turn at 1.25 miles over the inner turf. Couldn't wait to see where you win in here. Redistricting. Wow, this is a huge ask for this horse off a maiden win, one start to tackle Grade 1 company at 1.25 miles.
And we can take a look at his maiden win. And I spent so much time on this race out of all the races that we go through here today and anything else that I've looked at this weekend. And this is such a deep field, but I kept coming back to him because this is not something that Chad Brown does that often. He does not take horses like this and immediately step them up to a Grade 1, stretch them out, and really ask them to perform at this kind of level in their second start. In fact, he's 0 for 8 with 3-year-olds going from a maiden win into a graded stakes race. But this performance was so professional. Just when you ask, you see him extend his stride, super turn of foot, and then just the margin that he's able to win by, and then the ears go up at the wire. We saw Fly Right come back and run well yesterday, basically running the same kind of buyer speed figure that he did. I know that he's probably not good enough. I know you're waiting for me to say that. But this might be the only time that I get an okay price on him.
Yeah, look, even thoroughgraph-wise, too, he ran one of the best figures of anybody in this field.
Well, that's good to know.
I just don't. It was against maidens. It was against Fly Right. Fly Right would be 30-1 in this race. Still, he's ultra talented. It was a huge race. I agree with you. It was a huge race. I have him fourth in here. no, sorry, I changed my selections. I have him 5th as an alternative player. He could be any kind. He's got to be a
He's
star.
He's got to be somebody
to
today.
beat this race because Web Slinger is really good. Is a mile and a quarter ultimately going to be his best? He ran this monster race when he beat Farbridge.
Post 14.
Yeah,
I mean,
from the far outside post.
this is his
This is
Audubon
the next
win.
race when you say, oh, he took a backwards move in here. He really didn't take a backwards move in here. He was
No, he
4
did what he
wide
needed to
all the way
do.
around the racetrack in this performance until he swung to the fence at this point, and it comfortably, to me, wins this race. This race, to me, was almost as good as the race prior that was kind of that eye-popping performance. So can he do it at a mile and a quarter? That's going to be the question. He's paired up huge numbers the last 2 races again. To me, that says he's going to move forward again today. I like him in this spot. But again, for everybody, the mile and a quarter is a question. To me, redistricting those, it definitely, maybe one of the most watched horses on this card today because he showed so much talent in that debut, but it is asking a ton.
It is. It is. I know it's a lot, but
Yeah.
I just felt as though when I looked through this field, that was the performance that impressed me the most, and I just had to go with it. But this is a seriously competitive race. I mean, anybody could win this race. We even have the Foxes, who draws all the way towards the outside. I mean, the races.
He's the horse to beat, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the races that he has been running over in Europe, even finishing 5th in the Epsom Derby, that's no disgrace at all. And
yeah, and he won that Dante. Watch his turn of foot in that race. We've been showing it all week, and that was on a good to firm turf course as well. This is it. I mean, it
what
looks
is this,
like
the
they're
21st time?
Looks. What's that?
What is this, the 21st
I know, we've been
time?
showing it nonstop. It is impressive, though. And he's comes basically from outside in this race to come on down to the inside and win. It looks like they're on fast forward here when he starts kicking it in.
I know. This is a question that we've been asking ourselves in the production area of, is this race actually sped up or not? And I don't think we have an answer yet. But, I mean, just waiting for room and then that kind of explosive turn of foot that we saw from him. And you know that he can get the distance at least because he's gone a little bit further as well.
Yeah, well, and the English Derby, he didn't get a good start, which compromised him last time out. He still finished 5th in that race, but his connections just believe maybe a mile and a half is not what he wants. They think cutting back to a mile and a quarter is going to be perfect for him. He's going to be tough. Outside post, though, no favors done to him from post 11.
Right. This is a fun race.
Farbridge.
Click.
Out of that Pennine Ridge, I think Farbridge is maybe one of the most intriguing runners in this race as well, outside of redistricting to see what he can do second time out. But this horse is a little more proven against really good company. He was missed by a nose against Web Slinger with a much better trip that day. But this Pennine Ridge, where he kind of had to stop and start, this was a big effort.
Wasn't this kind of an odd move, too? He was really backing up a little bit at the top of the stretch, but then once he got that room to the inside, comes after Kalik, who was completely loose on the lead. I don't see Kalik getting the same kind of trip today with the presence of Wizard of Westwood and even the one Mendelssohn's March. But, I mean, he really made a good run at him, good turn of foot. I think that some people might be wondering, does he need to rally inside of horses? What is his deal as far as where he needs to be his most successful? But he's only run 4 times, and he's run a good race each time.
Yeah, he's major player in this spot. He's going to take plenty of money, too. So it's the Foxes and probably Farbridge, to me, I thought were the 2 to beat in the race.
I would agree with that.
Yeah?
Yeah. Web Slinger as well. I mean, there's just a lot going on.
Yeah. All right, grade 3 victory ride, sprint in this distaff division at 6.5 furlongs. I went back and forth again on this race, but this is a fun one. Maple Leaf Mel, New York bred, puts that perfect 4-for-4 record on the line. Downtown Mischief is talented as well for Linda Rice. Red Carpet Ready has basically never been beat sprinting.
Beat Money's Gold, who's extremely talented. Dazzling Blue needs to step it up, but is undefeated so far for Brad Cox. I mean, there is a lot happening in here, but you went outside the top 3 with a little bit of a fair price.
I did.
In
Look, Maple Leaf Mel has run some figures that it looks like she's going to move forward again today. I just thought the presence of the 2 is a major problem for Maple Leaf Mel pace-wise. All her races she's won basically in the front end. Dazzling Blue is going to go. What are we looking at here?
Her Miss Preakness, where she proved that she can take herself out of town and face open company instead of state breds, and this was just a tour de force. I mean, she wasn't even really asked for her best that much in here and just blew by this field easily.
Yeah, there's a chance she's maybe just too good for this group. And Dazzling Blue has not run the kind of numbers that suggest that she's going to be thorn in the side for the win, I think. But look, it's Brad Cox, it's Juddmonte. I do think she's going to be a thorn in the side, though, on the front end for Maple Leaf Mel and her running style. So to me, Interpolate, I love that Beaumont from Interpolate for Chad Brown. She ran thoroughgraph-wise the biggest number anyone in this field has ever run. Now, she's got to back it up and prove she can do it again, but she's going to get the pace, I believe, with those two in here to try and run down. And she was chasing a lone speed in that race, the only one who was trying to get to that key or lone speed key of life, and she nearly got there. Today, with the presence of those two, if she can take just a little move forward, I don't even know if she has to take a move forward. If she can run that race again, she can win this race.
Yeah, no, I looked at her a little bit. She had some trouble in the start before that as well. She's a player, and you're going to get a fair price on Ira Ortiz Jr. and Chad Brown because of the presence of some of these other stars that we've seen so far. Red Carpet Ready is one, too. I've just been so impressed with this Oscar Performance baby, being a dirt sprinter. That's not what you would expect. She's really talented, too.
She is. And you said, obviously, who she beat last time out. I mean, Money's Gold, I believe, the fastest figure any
2-year-old had run in...
Well, even that comeback race is a 3-year-old at Tampa, right?
Oh,
wasn't that
Didn't
a 110?
She broke the record for that distance. I think so.
Yeah, it was an incredible performance.
And Money's Gold tried to come back at her, too, and she was still so game in victory. And I love that she is the outside speed of this race. That I think is very key for her.
Drawn perfectly. Saya's back aboard. You know he's going to be aggressive and can sit maybe right off those two speeds in the perfect position. We'll see how it plays out.
You would think, yeah.
But the potential anyway.
This is a crazy fun race. We have such a good card today.
Yes, looking forward to it. We're going to close it out with race 12. So 6 furlongs, Inner Turf, State Bred Maiden 40 race near. Actually, was going to pick a 30-to-1 shot debuting on top, who scratched, unfortunately, a no for you. There was some pedigree there. Start with you. You like the 5 near Kern River.
I do. I have the 12 on top, though, actually. Boston Strong Mama.
Oh, my bad.
That's okay. This is a George Weaver home operation. Owns, trains, bred, and this one is the half to a horse that he debuted at a similar level last year, who won at 30-to-1 at first asking, even though that was going a mile. And that was a horse that I actually really liked last year. So once I saw the pedigree on this one, that he's still so involved with this horse, I had to take this one on top. And the barn has just been going so well lately.
Yeah, I mean, the Dam won a couple of times sprinting, too. Won it at Belmont at 6 furlongs, won it 5 furlongs sprinting. Don't love post 12.
No, I don't either.
From the outside in here. But, yeah, I don't think going to be 8-to-1 either in this spot. I wound up alternatively going to Screw Loose with a scratch of the 7 in here.
He
dropping
acts
class.
It.
What's that?
He acts it before his race. Yeah, I would love to see how he behaves today because his name seemed very fitting after I saw him last time.
That's a decent move forward second time out. That was going 7 furlongs. It was a State Bred Maiden Special after going against Open Maiden Special first time out. I don't love the fact it was an 0 for 25 horse that actually won that race, but ran a very good effort for about 70% of the race before backing up. Now it's going to get considerably easier. I will say I thought the 4, who I didn't put in my top 4 in here, but there's a little bit of intrigue with that Bruce Brown runner with a couple of horses that one's produced. Kern River, obviously, major player in here. We both have second. Kern River getting on the turf for the first time. Horatio de Paz. The Dam Maiden Special winner on grass.
Dam Quick, yeah. Plenty
Stakes
of Dam side turf pedigree.
Won at Saratoga on the grass.
Yeah.
And then the 10, some issues out of the gate, but this horse faced Kalik.
Right. So this is obviously considerable class relief.
Yeah. But those were races going a mile.
Now has to cut back.
But just on the class drop and who this horse faced, going to be one of the major, probably second choice in the race.
I would assume so.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a tough way to close it out.
Can you get away?
Easy.
Can you get away with 1-5-10 here?
I mean,
Well, you have
would
the
include
12, I understand.
Yeah.
1-5-10-12.
I think that everybody is likely to include the 5. I think that that's a key player in this race.
I think 1-5-10 are going to be on just about everybody's.
Yeah.
12 is going to take a lot of attention too. Just that outside post a little tough.
Know.
But from what I had saw, Inner Turf outside post is not as difficult as Widener, which I would have thought would have been the reverse.
Right.
With the tighter turn, but apparently it's not.
We'll see
Best
what
play of the
Javier
day for you?
Sikkim.
Is it really?
Agreed upon. Yeah, I really like that horse. I spent a lot of time rewatching the head-on of that start, and I think that horse was so compromised and could really benefit from a cleaner trip today.
All right. Hope everybody has a fantastic Saturday, our final Saturday of this meet. Then we got the Sunday card. Then we're off to Saratoga. When do you leave, by the way?
Monday. When are you heading out?
It's up in the air right now. Few things
to the kids?
Few things to tie up with William and Isabel. Hopefully Tuesday early leaving, but more likely Wednesday. Let's get through the business. Are we going to show everything again here? NYRABets, $200 deposit match sign-up bonus. Promo code bonus200. Go to NYRABets.com. Get signed up, started. Play along. It's going to be a fun afternoon. Don't forget that mandatory pick 5 payout, too, begins with that Suburban in race 5. Late pick 5 is always sensational. That $25 bonus for betting those 3 tracks. Get some extra money in your account. The middle pick 4, what did I say, race 6? Is when that begins?
So,
I
yes.
believe so.
Yep.
Good one to go after. And then cross-country pick 5, Horseshoe Indy. Paula Duca live coverage on site today. Verifying a lock in that race?
It got easier with the scratch of the 3, Act a Fool.
Yeah.
I think so, but I'm going to try to beat him still.
Live coverage on our program beginning at 1 Eastern. We're going to see you today on the program.
We're going to see you later on the
What
program.
time are you on?
Now, 1 o'clock.
What time is it?
12:30.
Okay, you got
Almost
you got
now.
20 minutes to relax and unwind. Enjoy, everybody. I hope you have a fun afternoon. Watch along. We'll see you on FS2 coverage beginning at 1 Eastern.
For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water.